the fly and build that's coming up, and also the new little plane, and what's happening over there. And I can report just this week all of the materials for the building of the new school building are now there and waiting.
I'm going to show a few pictures that some of you will have seen already, but I'll share them because some may not have seen. I'm not sure who's seen and who hasn't seen. Okay, we work in northern Vanuatu, and that's where the Fly and Build's coming, to Gower Island. And it's a remote place. That's our family. We live on Gower Island, which is got an active volcano, the biggest waterfall in the South Pacific, the second largest lake in the South Pacific, and one of the most active volcanoes in the Pacific. Okay, I'm a doctor, and we're involved with evacuations and search and rescue stuff that happens because there is no search and rescue. There's actually no helicopters in Vanuatu. These are my two main medical staff, Noila and Talia. Talia's here this morning somewhere. She hasn't come in yet. Okay, we were donated this plane by someone in Arizona who watched only the last 5 minutes of a video clip of our project. And he donated this aircraft, which is a bush plane called a mole, very suitable for short runways. So I fly into airstrips that nobody else flies into. Okay, I live on this runway. We live on the runway. We built the biggest building in the province because it's a remote place, and that's the only big building in the province is our hangar. We live upstairs, and the plane lives downstairs. Right next door is the medical center that the youth from Salisbury Church built for us. The locals built the patient house, which is where all these people come, multiple languages from all over our province. We have 13 languages in our province, and I'm the only doctor and the only pilot in the province. Okay, we've started a school. It's an Adventist church school, denominational entity. It's called Madavanga, and it's a special needs school as well, and we're actually getting to secondary. We're connecting with Auri to do the secondary. And so we're well known because we've never had a single fail in all the national exams in the past years, whatever years it is since we started. We started with a coconut plantation, and now Naomi, who's there holding the fort, she is kind of like, she carries that school on her back, on her shoulders. That's the nicest building in the province. We also have the nicest building, and that's a classroom that was built by a group from, which group? It was a mixed group that came for that fly and build, okay? We also have made history because we have the only person, and only deaf person who's actually passed the national exam. We had a deaf student last year who attempted year 10 and passed year 10. So we made history, and there we are in the record only a few weeks back. Okay, we've got Ben Melt, who's a South Pacific Division volunteer working with us. Bruce Kenny, who's the head elder of Monto Church. He came with his digger, and he's helping us to do a road to the wellness center that we're doing. We're also involved in the church. I'm the head elder of this church, Madavanga Church. It's a very active little church, very evangelistic, a lot of decisions being made for the Lord. So here's the plane that we were donated. It would be wonderful if the story ended there like that. Sounds like a great mission story. But actually, this is what happened last year. The plane was flipped in a double cyclone, which was a total disaster for us and made me feel like I have no wings. And so we prayed about it, and the Lord provided a plane, Charlie, a 206, not to replace the mall, but to take the place of the mall while it's getting repaired, because the mall is going to take time because there's so many things it's hard to get for it. Anyway, Charlie was given to us. It's the longest serving aircraft in the history of Adventist aviation, which makes it very special. It's called Charlie because it was Sierra Delta Charlie after SDA, the first one, then SDB. SDA was Len Barnard's aircraft. So Janelle knows all about that. So we got SDC, which was favorite of all the pilots. So many pastors flew this plane. It was in the Adventist church as a denominational aircraft for 27 years. Then it spent another 19 years in New South Wales as for Adventist aviation services. And then they gave it to us, well, through negotiations and certain people helping financially at certain points, we ended up with this amazing aircraft set up for mission. Wouldn't it be wonderful if the story ended like that? Unfortunately, that's what happened to Charlie. I crashed Charlie. With them all, it was nature. And I didn't lose face. But with Charlie, I lost face. It was very bad for my ego. It really hurt me. It was so hard. I was so discouraged, particularly because we live in the world's hottest need a plane hotspot, which is because all the domestic services are just in a state. Air Vanuatu went broke. And not only that, operating a whole nation with only 3 islanders like that, that's the whole country. Even the Prime Minister has to order that same charter that the average bloke does on the side of the street to get around. No helicopters, no jets, just 3 twin-engine, 10-seater islanders. That's all there is left. But there's talk of a couple of twin otters getting going again, but it's still a long way from what's needed. And so, we've had patients who have actually died recently because they couldn't get help. Like this gentleman from Torres Islands. In this photo, he was very sick. He was waiting and waiting and waiting, and we were trying to arrange charters. The queues are so long. The finances are short. The prices are so crazy. He died. And multiple people have died because I crashed Charlie. I could have saved their lives. It was terrible. I was so discouraged, and I tasted the power of discouragement. But I came across a quote by Corrie ten Boom that says, the wonderful thing about praying is that you leave a world of not being able to do something and enter God's realm where everything is possible. That was November 24 last year. This photo was taken a couple of weeks ago. It's an aircraft that we were donated, and then we got rebuilt. It cost $500,000. And the Lord has touched people, some people in this congregation and other people in other congregations, since December 26, when we prayed. We prayed and we said, Lord, you are the God of the impossible. Even though I don't deserve a plane, I'm an idiot. I crashed it. I trashed Charlie. But Lord, because of these people, because of their need, please, can you provide a plane? And you know what? The Lord provided that aircraft within 14 days. Within 14 days, I read the quote on November 24. We prayed to the God of the impossible on December the 26th. We got the plane on January the 10th. And August 11, which is 1 year since I crashed Charlie, that's tomorrow, I'm going to be test flying this plane. So I've already flown the plane. I flew it up from New South Wales. I have been flying. I'm not out of, I can fly. However, this plane has had so much done to it, and so it's pretty much like Charlie 1. So we're calling it Charlie 2. And so I'm going to be flying Charlie 2 tomorrow and over the next week, and then I've got to fly it to Vanuatu. So just so that you know, Charlie 2, everybody heard about this, and there was people in the villages who said, we can help you. So we sent out little boxes, little wood boxes to all of the villages in the whole province. This is the money they contributed. $10, $100, $35. This is for a whole village of people in Vanuatu, because they believed that their contribution would help towards this plane. They don't know, once you get past, so many numbers, the zeros don't count anymore. So it's just a number. We just got to give what we can. So this is what they gave. And you know what? We had a little girl, she's deaf, and she made a little prayer. And in her prayer, she was praying because she can't speak. She can't speak, she's deaf. but she can use her hands. And so, would you like to know what she's saying? Okay. I don't know if the audio is going to work.
In heaven, please help someone to put money inside the box so that the plane will be coming back in Vanuatu. In Jesus' name, amen.
She was praying for the people in the villages to put money in the box to pay for the plane so that the plane will come back to Vanuatu. So, do you think God answers prayers like that? Are you surprised that God answered the prayer? When we prayed, we asked the God of the impossible. Maybe that was a key. But maybe the real key was this little girl prayed and she just said, Lord, please touch the hearts of the people in the villages to give the money, because if they give the money, then the plane's going to come. So that's faith. And you know, it's like the little lady that put 2 coins in the offering. Her money has been advertised by Jesus and has brought in more money into the coffers of God's church than any other person on this planet. 2 little coins is what Jesus used to fill the coffers of the church. I reckon this girl's done. You know, I preached a sermon on this topic 13 Sabbaths in a row before I went to the US. Different churches all over Australia. And the Lord provided $500,000 to help us to get this plane. So anyway, I'm sharing a little bit of what I share in my sermon. And are you encouraged or discouraged? I was so discouraged. I think we're out of time now. But basically, I'm in my sermon I share about the importance of having faith. It's all to do with faith. I was searching for what faith really is. I've always been a faith-based person, and I always believed I was like Caleb, believed in the Lord. But I felt like I was still confused. I needed to understand more until I started to ask the God of the impossible to do what only God can do. And so God has shown me that in the life of Jesus and in the Bible, we see so many instances of impossible things happening alongside things that are possible. And so we are in this sort of journey of discovery to find out what's inside our box, what we can do, what's possible, and then what's outside that box, things that are not possible for us, and we have to put in the hands of God. So we've got things that are in our hands, and we've got things that are in his hands. Things that are in our hands, we are to do everything that we can. Whatsoever your hand finds to do it with all your might. And then we've got to submit like Jesus and say, Lord, you're the only one that can do the possible. I'm skipping a whole lot of thoughts that I share in my sermon, but basically God can help us to do what's not only to do the impossible, or he can do the impossible, we can't do the impossible, but we can do things that are seemingly impossible. They seem to be impossible. Of course they're possible, but they just feel like, wow, it's just almost impossible. But God can help us to do that. And you know what the key is? The needs of the people. This lady touched the hem of Jesus, and she discovered how to touch the heart of God. If you want to touch the heart of God, you've got to present your need. And not only your need, but the needs of those who are needy around you. And if you become the channel between them and the source of light and blessing, then God's going to answer your prayers. So that's the key. And I'm just so thankful. I've given you a little bit of a snapshot of what I share in my sermon, but I just want to finish by referring you to Joshua 2:3-1-4, which is the text where Joshua, at the end of his life, the man of faith, says, at the end of his life, he says, you know in all your heart and in all your soul that not one good thing has failed of all the good things that the Lord has spoken concerning you. All have come to pass. Everything has been fulfilled. What do you think? Is it happening? Is the Lord fulfilling his promises? God is true. Let God be true and every man a liar. God will never, ever, it is impossible for him to lie, and his promises are going to be true until Jesus comes. Why don't we just live for his promises? Just leave everything else and focus on his promises. Live for his promises, depend on his promises, feed on his promises. That's it. That's what life is. They're leaves from the tree of life hanging over the wall that we can still eat on this side of eternity. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity of sharing.